All right, so everybody is here for suicide prevention. I checked in a little bit earlier. You all here for suicide prevention?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Next slide, please. Thanks for being here. Next slide. These are some of the things we'll go over. My name is Brittany Crooks. I'm one of the DPHs, or Director of Psychological Health. My office is over in the Rock. I've been here about a year and a half. I have a couple of littles that keep me on my toes. Yeah, next slide. This is the one thing I'll read verbatim because DAF says that we have to. This topic may be difficult to discuss. Some of you may have had personal experience with suicide and it may be difficult to participate. At any time, feel free to take a few moments for self-care or ask for help from an instructor or head over to the Rock or someone who can facilitate connecting you with an appropriate resource if you are having difficulty. We want open dialogue, but we also want to remain respectful of those around us. Even if you do not have a personal experience, someone in this room may. Statements should be respectful at all times. I had a first sergeant the other day, and I thought this was so poignant. When talking about this, said most of us in the military have someone in our inner circle who has at least had thoughts, if not has attempted or completed suicide. That is largely because the suicide rate in the military is still higher than it is in the civilian world. And so when we're talking about this, most people in this room, if not everyone, will have had experience with suicide, which I think is very interesting. And it makes me understand a little bit more why we talk about this so much. Next slide, please. We'll talk about all of these things. Warning signs, prevention, intervention, how to intervene, time-based prevention, connectedness, and coping skills. Next slide. This I think is super interesting, and you all can read, but I want to ask the group, what is the difference between stress and distress? Yeah.
Distress is when you can't handle it anymore.
Ooh, yeah. I saw another hand start to go up here where it was. What does it feel like when you're that tipping point from handling it to not handling it anymore? What does it feel like? Your body, your mind?
Loss of control.
Ooh. Loss of control. Yeah. What else?
Burnout in your past where you want to be able to work through it. You lost the will to try to conquer.
Ooh. You're just hitting all the hard things. Yeah.
It's quiet in here.
It is very quiet in
It
here.
makes
I'm
me
okay with
nervous.
silence. Yeah. That burnout, that loss of control. What does that feel like in your body?
Tense.
Yeah. I had somebody the other day go, I just can't. You just can't. And I thought that was so poignant, right? Because we've all been there. We've all been at that precipice from stress to distress. We've all done it. We're not doing it right now, right? I had somebody else say, and I thought this was also very interesting, they get very tunnel visioned when you are going from stress to distress, and then when you stay in distress for a while, that they can get very tunnel visioned. And I think that's actually super duper accurate. And it's not that stress is a bad thing, or distress is a bad thing, it just matters on how we handle it. About a month ago, I was over in Ops, about 1,300, right before they were supposed to be going TDY to Hawaii. There was a lot of stressed people over there, right? You could see all the kind of twitchy pilots that were happening. Stress is fine. We've all been under deadlines. We've all had that moment. And so when we're crossing into distress, we're hitting that burnout. We can't think. We're in tunnel vision. That's when it can get to be a problem. Oftentimes, and not every time, but oftentimes people who start contemplating self-harm and suicide, they have passed stress into distress. and often have stayed there for a while. So folks will get to this point where this is my only way out. This is the only answer to these problems. Who knows very much about the brain and its development? Okay. I'm a social worker, not an MD, so please do keep that in mind. However, back here is something called your brainstem or your limbic system. It is the very first thing in utero to develop. It is our fight or flight response. It is what keeps the blood moving in our bodies. It's that lizard brain. That's your limbic system. Up here is your prefrontal cortex. It is the very last thing to develop. In men, it's typically somewhere between about 21, 23 to 25. In women, it develops between about 19 to 23. Just biology, just how it works. Up here is held your values, your personality, your ability to rank things 1, 2, 3. This is what I want to do. When we pass from stress into distress and we stay there, we tend to get more back here into our limbic system, not in our prefrontal cortex. When we're drinking, when we're on drugs, I know NyQuil will do it to me, Benadryl. Puts us back here and not up here. And this is important, we'll get to it later on, but giving ourselves time and space to get from here to here is often incredibly critical. Next slide. What do you experience when a major deadline is close? Stress, distress, or distrust?
Stress.
Stress. Next slide. Yes. Next slide. So when you're passing, we're starting to hit that point of stress. We all kind of know what that feels like. Getting a little tense. Our responses become a little short. And then we're passing from stress into distress, starting to hit burnout, tunnel vision. How do you cope? What do you do to deal with that stress?
Go for a walk.
Yeah. It's a big one. What else?
I usually just complain about the situation to others.
Find your village, yeah.
You know?
Find your person. Absolutely. My husband probably hears way too much of it. More than
Take a
people
break.
like anyway. Huh?
Do something you enjoy.
Do something you enjoy.
We're talking about stress, not distress, right? So attacking the thing that is stressing you, and then getting rid of it,
Ooh,
improving the process that's making you stressed, ideally.
I like that. Find a way to deal with it before it overtakes you. Yeah. Knocking out the to-do list.
Which often does include a lot of
Yeah.
problem identification.
Yeah. How many times do we find ourselves ticked off, frustrated, annoyed, and we don't even quite know why?
All the time.
Right? So figuring out what it is that's bothering you, it's huge. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know I find some of these comments super interesting. In the same group, I had someone say, go for a run, and someone say, slow down. Right? Someone said, talk to my people. The other one said, I want to be by myself. Right? So it's knowing what works for you. Knowing what those coping skills are in times of stress and distress, because I promise both will happen. And you need to find coping skills that you can utilize in both situations. Next slide. These are some of the risk factors that DAF has identified. And y'all can read, you're intelligent humans. But I want to ask, what are some risk factors that can occur here at Kingsley and in Klamath in our local area? What are some risk factors that can lead people to go into that stress stay in distress, go down that other side. What are some risk factors?
Money and relationships.
Money and relationships. Yes. I was talking to, again, same first sergeant, who's been here a number of years, certainly longer than I have, and noted that in every suicide that he could remember, relationships has been a precipitating factor. Difficult relationships. It's huge. Klamath, we know, is not the highest of socioeconomic statuses, if you will. Another thing I think about often is our access to care. How many of you have PCMs in Klamath? A primary care doc in Klamath? It was like 2 or 3 of you. That's a struggle. And that's just a primary care doc. What about a specialist? We're driving over the hill, one of them, right? We've either got to go to Bend or to Medford. Eye care, same thing. Often you're having to go over the hill. You want to find a therapist, let alone one that's taking your insurance, right? That can be really difficult around here. So access to care, I think, is a really, really big deal. Look for these things. I had last drill, I had a DSG, and I thought this was super poignant as well. Those of us that are out here full time, we get this thing called leave. And we're encouraged to take it. Like super encouraged. A lot of our DSGs have hourly jobs. Some better paying than others. That's just how it goes. However, oftentimes taking leave to be able to take care of your mental health, to see family, to see friends, to take a break for a second, often requires leave that they may not have. And if they do take it, it may be unpaid time off, which can then often be food off the table, money out of their rent pile for that month, right? And then that causes other stress factors, right? And so just being aware of that, being aware of that for each other, those around us, huge deal. Next slide, please. Went through some of that. Next slide. There's some warning signs that someone is actively moving towards self-harm or suicide. Again, y'all can read. What are some things that you guys have seen, that you guys have witnessed, that someone is actively moving towards a plan to hurt themselves?
Giving away their stuff.
Yep. And not just like spring cleaning, but the things that are important to them. Yeah.
Making comments.
Ooh, what kind of comments?
You know, things like, I mean, I've had people say, you know, I feel like killing myself or something like that.
Yeah. What is that moment like when somebody tells you that?
Pretty scary.
Yeah.
It's hard to know if they're serious, if they're being sarcastic or, so you want to take it seriously, but you don't want to affect their life. I mean, you don't want to affect their career, but you want to do the right thing. So it's a difficult situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because nobody in this room, especially those in uniform, is ever sarcastic or ever makes jokes about death, right? So finding that balance can be really hard. I know I've had many a security forces member, many a maintenance member, those tend to be the darker ones, with that super dark humor. And I will totally go there with people, right? And, okay, I need some reality for a second. Are you serious here? Or are you just joking? That's often where I would go in those moments, because you've got to check. Dark humor is fine, but let's have a moment of reality here. Yeah. What else? What else have people seen or heard?
A lack of self-worth and voicing that out loud.
Ooh. Yeah.
People talking about struggling to find a purpose in life, not knowing what their purpose is.
Yeah.
It can very quickly escalate.
Yeah, they can. Absolutely can. Do you always catch those kind of comments?
Not always. There's times when, like you said, depending on the person, some people typically, and you usually know them, this is just them joking, but when it's someone who is always quiet, and then they start making those comments, it's definitely very concerning.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to say that because we don't always catch it. Hindsight is always 20/20. Every time. So if you don't catch it and something happens, please don't take that on. We do the best we can with the information we have at the time. And then we keep showing up. Don't take that on. It's not your fault if you don't catch something and someone does act. Next slide, please. What would be an example of an early warning sign?
All of the above.
Fair, fair. Any one of them stick out? Next slide. Unnecessary risk. But I will also absolutely agree with you. All of them absolutely can be an early warning sign, right? Unnecessary risk. You said something that goes along with this. I don't know each and every one of you. I don't know what you look like from day to day. I don't know what you do from day to day. I don't know what your coping skills are. I don't know. I know some of you, I don't know all of you. But you know each other best, and you know each other and your units best. You know your family and friends the best. So when someone's taking an unnecessary risk, that might look different from person to person. If I were to go out and go buy a motorcycle and start zooming down 97, that's a problem. Like, call somebody, call my husband, because that's probably not great. For other people, hopping on their motorcycle is their jam. That is what they do. That is life. That is freedom. For me, if you catch me going 90 in my Ford down 97, that's probably fairly normal. I lived in Germany for 4.5 years. My daily commute was on the Autobahn. 90 miles an hour is slow. Probably should take care of my left foot a little bit, but it's kind of my norm, right? So knowing what that unnecessary risk is for different people is a big deal. Next slide. I gave it to you. If someone starts acting towards self-harm, pay attention. And we go through these weird times and seasons. About 10 years ago, people were, especially teenagers, were eating Tide Pods. I don't know if you remember that. That was a weird moment. And often it was the plastic from the Tide Pods that got people more in trouble than the actual detergent. Look for things that people are doing that might be a little bit out of the ordinary. Next slide. Next slide. I know you all have heard this at least once, so I won't hit this too hard. However, ACE. The first one is asking a question. We do this thing culturally. When we see each other in the morning, we're walking down the hallway. What do we do? What do we say to each other?
How's it going?
What is the appropriate response?
Great, another day in paradise.
Right? And if you say anything other than, great, I'm good, it's fine, it's awkward. Right? Like, you don't say that. You don't say life sucks, I'm having a moment. Like, you just don't say that. Culturally, we don't do that. because it's just weird. It like tenses people up and stops people in their tracks. So when you're asking, ask. Ask a second time, ask a third time, so we can get out of that cultural thing that we do. If need be, and you're kind of feeling it, like walk into a quiet hallway or an office, walk outside, right? You'll feel it when something's up. But ask more than once, because we as Americans do this weird cultural thing. And of course, care and escort people to where they need to go, whether that's here on base or off the installation. Get people where they need to go. Next slide. What are some resources here in Kingsley and in the local area that you know about that can help someone who's struggling?
Chaplain,
Chaplain?
The
Yep.
Rock,
Yep.
Military One Source,
Yep.
Suicide Prevention Hotline.
Ooh, what's the suicide prevention hotline?
988. It was
Yeah!
on the slide earlier, I don't know that by heart.
That's all right. It's the 911 of mental health. Good job. Has anybody heard of the KBBH Mobile Crisis Team? Got a couple of nods. So this is something that is really cool. It's in our local area. Our county is rather large, right? Clinton County. The KBBH Mobile Crisis Team consists of a therapist and typically a mental health tech that will respond and go out to a home or a location 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, and they will do an assessment. They will provide resources. They will do follow up with people for typically about 30 days, give or take, depending on the situation, for anywhere from 0 to 99 for those ages. So really just about anybody. And they're free. So there's not going to be a huge bill on the back end for these people coming out. So please keep that in mind, not for just for yourself, but for your family, your friends, your neighbors, right? Huge resource that we have in the county. We also have Sky Lakes we can take people to. I've had people show up at the VA in White City when things are going funky. All of this information is on the Air Force Connect app under the Leader's Handbook. So when you're in a moment and you're not remembering any of this, get on there. All the resources are sitting right there for you. Next slide. Next slide. Time-based prevention. Does anybody know kind of what this is? Okay, so this is the idea that we talk about locking up the firearms and the ammo, locking up medications, putting knives and scissors and sharp objects up high. That's why we talk about putting a picture of the family dog on some of these things or giving somebody else the key. Because research is showing right now that it takes anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes from decision to action for someone to hurt themselves. And if we can put something in there, someone or something, between that 30 seconds and 5 minutes for someone or something to intervene, we might just save a life. It's huge, right? All it takes is a picture of the family dog Snuffy or great grandma. Ooh, let's do it, right? I can't tell you how many times I have heard the Amazon delivery driver showed up, rang the doorbell, and that's what intervened for someone. It's what gives us enough time to get from our limbic system into our prefrontal cortex. To think, value, process, is this what I want to do or not? Right? Because if I have to go to somebody else for the code, or I have to go to somebody else for the key, there's another step that puts something directly between that 30 seconds and 5 minutes that someone or something can intervene. Get them to a resource, talk, go on a walk, do those things that we talked about. So when we talk about locking up firearms, locking up meds, it's not just about you. It's about your kids. It's about your kids' friends. It's about nieces and nephews. It's about the neighbor that might walk into your house. Your best friend, right? Time-based prevention, providing time between decision and action that someone or something can intervene. So think about that. Think about what's in your home that somebody can easily access? Do we need to lock it up? Do we need to put it up high? Do we need to put a picture on it? Think about that. Think about what's in your home. Next slide. Protective factors. So we talked a little bit ago about risk factors. These would be some protective factors that might help people better cope, lead them out of stress or distress. So for you guys, I want to ask, what would be some of those things for you that would be protective factors? What are things that you know of or have seen in our local community that would be protective factors?
Healthy Kids Running Series.
Oh,
It's a way to get their mind off of stress from school and stuff like
yeah. And it gets those endorphins going. Yeah. What else? Something I found around here, Kingsley knows each other. They know each other here on base, but oh my heavens, the amount of people I've seen at the soccer field with my littles, it's kind of crazy. I was in elementary school the other night, Friday night, for a thing. Again, the amount of people I saw from base was incredible. Kingsley knows each other. I think that's really incredible, and it's a huge protective factor. I know I have worked with my fair share of commands who maybe shouldn't be in command. And we've all seen those, we've all experienced that. This group of leadership we have right now is incredible. Watching them, and I've watched this time and again, drop everything to help an airman, holy smokes. It's amazing to watch. But again, I think that's a huge protective factor. We have a group of people right now that really, truly not only say, but do put airmen first. I think that's really amazing. Any other thoughts on protective factors?
that. I think the Key Spouses program was huge during our recent RCP.
Yeah.
It had a very positive impact.
Good.
Seeing people out here playing, I forget what it's called, Don't Judge, flag football or some ultimate frisbee, some kind of game, stuff like that.
Yeah, people just getting together, knowing each other. There was some run I saw last year, a bunch of people in Hawaiian shirts. That was pretty funny. But they were enjoying it. Hey, people were having fun. Yeah. Next slide, please. What can you do to support a healthy, connected work center?
Stay engaged with your employees.
How do you do that? You just do, right?
Don't give them the cold shoulder, or even if you don't necessarily like them, still talk to them.
Mm-hmm. Acknowledge them, acknowledge their presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Open communication,
Yeah,
feel welcome.
yeah. Notice when each other's there, when they're not there. Yeah. Don't be a sourpuss all the time. I know I'm an incredible introvert, so it can be hard for me at times to always talk to people, which is kind of ridiculous because I'm a therapist, but I'm an introvert. Getting out of my shell sometimes is hard, but you gotta do it. we can do to build that connection?
In the maintenance group, we do tenacity events, whether it's going mountain biking as a group, going hiking, going golfing, stuff like that.
That's awesome. That totally fits for maintenance. That makes sense. Yeah. The Hawaiian run that happened, and I think it's a yearly thing they do in June. Things like that. Building that connection. Next slide. We talked about this one. Next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. And next one. Next one. Here's our list of resources that DAF has put out. I know you all are not going to remember this, especially in the heat of a moment when something's going on. What I want you to remember is that this exists. There is help, there is support, there is resources. So when you're in the heat of a moment, know that you are not alone. All of this stuff exists on the Air Force Connect app under the Leader's Handbook. Call your first sergeant, call your commander, call the chaplain, call DPHs, call somebody. Get that person where they need to go, whether it's a fellow airman, a friend, a family member, and then reach out yourself. Because this stuff can be really, really hard to handle by yourself. I know I have my own therapist friends that I reach out to and talk with. Because man, life hits sometimes. Reach out. You're not alone, they're not alone. Remember that there are people, and there are a lot of people that care. One of the things, I think it was you that mentioned a lack of mission or a lack of purpose. As we head into this next season of transition, pay attention to that. Because a lot of our folks out here really, really identify with the F-15. I've been here a long time. That's a huge part of who they are. During this transition, that can be a really difficult thing. So pay attention. Look for those warning signs in each other that something may be off. You may not always be able to put your finger exactly on what it is, but you know it when you see it. Look for those kind of funky things in each other. In your friends, in your family, in your neighbors. Look for those things and ask. Simply just ask. You're probably going to script a conversation, and that's okay. I'm a therapist, I screw it up all the time. And I also know that when I'm having a hard time and somebody just simply says, hey, how are you? And starts the conversation, I don't often remember what they said, but knowing that they cared enough to notice and cared enough to ask, that's what sticks with me. So don't worry about screwing up the conversation. Don't worry about missing a sign. Show up and be there. And that's how you're going to catch people. That's how you're going to hurt people, or help people, not hurt people. You're going to help people. Any last questions, thoughts, concerns? Okay. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. Some of you stick around for the commander's call that's happening here shortly, or come back this afternoon.